Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to round 7 of the East Coast V8 series, coming to you tonight from the one and only Indianapolis Speedway. We're on the new layout road circuit for the first time as the boys are heading out to start their 20-minute qualifying. Might just have a quick look at the track map. I'm flying solo tonight, so I don't have to introduce Mr. Duggan. He'll be back with us next week. So if you're out there, Mark, g'day, mate. Have a quick look at the track map. So you can see we go down in the reverse direction, down start-finish straight of the Indianapolis Speedway, where we then turn off into turn 1, 2, sweep through 3, sweep around through 4, through the tight chicane of 5 and 6, down the long internal straightway into the tight left-hander at 7, then we sweep around 8 into another tight turn at 9, then we sweep through 10 in 11, where we wind up on turn 2 of the Indianapolis Speedway, and then the boys then cut back in with a hard 90-degree turn into turn 12 through the internal complex through 13, sweep back around through 14, back onto the start-finish straight. It's a very tough little circuit, and I think these boys will definitely try and maximise the speed of it. The circuit's only 4.18 kilometres long, it's 14 turns, and I think it's a little ripper of a circuit because she's dead flat, not much camber, apart from when you go onto the banking around the corners. And you've really got to be careful how you balance the car coming on and off the oval speedway. We might have a quick look at the Championship Series points too, because they're fairly tight at the moment. As we can see, we've got Brenton Hobson sitting in first place on 14.73, followed by Jordan Ross on 14.51, and then we drop into James Chastity on 14.11. Warboys has worked his way back up to 4th with Jamie Dyke in 5th. The Fishy Patrol starts here if we go Whiting, Kirby, Coleman, and then we've got Banter Alliance's Paul Young, and Ben Morris rounding out the top 10 with Matt Stewart knocking 3 points behind on the door. Our current championship champion, Adam Briggs, sitting in 12th at the moment after missing a round. Blake Delaney sitting behind him, Thomas Freeman, Roy Clark is sitting 15th, which is an outstanding effort. Craig Schultz, James Scott, Luke Holland, Christian Smart, Warren Davis rounds out our top 20. So it's a fair crack there of what we can see from most of our drivers. As we might now go to live pictures and we'll get ourselves set up and start getting going. So if you're going to be in the chat, whether it be on YouTube or Facebook, don't be a stranger, jump in, say g'day, let us know you're supporting. We'll try and make sure we have a bit of a look at what's going on around the tracks, as these boys now are basically out running around trying to get themselves set for their first lap times. A couple of guys off the track already there. It's Jordan Ross is the first one to pop up with a 1:24.03. That's a pretty quick time there from Jordan. Should be pretty happy with that. I think we're down a bit on numbers tonight too, just out of curiosity. We just need to get ourselves up and running. Quite a few guys out there already setting times. James Scott's gone and knocked off Jordan Ross already with a 1:24.032. And then Paul Warwick, the doctor from Fishy Motorsports, in the P3 with Ben Morris in 4. So it's good to see the doctor getting a good run on there into P3 as we continue on. And I might just sit here on James Ross for a minute here. Ducking into the pits, I think, to put on another set of tyres, as these boys have got 20 minutes here to get their qualifying sorted. So Jordan ducking into the pits. Very tight little pit lane coming in here. You've got to really balance the car around that arc, and then these cones pop out of nowhere. Very slow pit lane as well. Got to pull the car back down, let it run. Going to play with a couple of new cameras tonight. Basically realigned our far chase, so we've got a little bit more of an alignment so you can actually see the car. She's a long pit lane. Then the other one we're going to play with tonight as well, we've got a drone cam that we've got looking down on the car, see if we can keep a better idea, perspective on the accidents. And the other camera we'll keep a close eye on tonight, of course, is my wall cam. So most of the boys have done through their pits after their first run. Jamie McKnight just puts himself up into 7th. That's a great little knock there from the People's Champion. We'll see if anyone else can bump up the times as we wait for the front runners to start heading themselves back out. As they start rolling out now, James Scott's back on track. Might jump on with James. Keep a close eye on what he's up to. So, true form, you'd expect this to be a reasonably slow out lap. Try and preserve the tyres, look after them. This track's a little bit hard on tyres. As I said earlier, you don't get any help from any camber in any of these corners, being such a flat track. Coming through the 5-6 chicane. Be careful of the curb. A lot of guys complaining about setup being loose if you hit the curbs on this track. So guys have got to be quite careful. And of course, Vets raced here on Thursday night, so good experience with some of these curbs. It is really a very tough circuit to get right with these tight, twisty sections that we've got here, and then you really need to be able to get straight line speed out of the car as well. So the toe will have a massive play tonight. If you can hang into that toe and hang on, you'll do okay. And of course, the other thing to remember too, this is a 300k race tonight, so it's an endurance race, 3 compulsory pit stops, and the guys are only allowed 2 tyre changes. So that's another little factor that's going to come into play, which will be quite interesting. As we continue on to watch here, James building up to get going. Let's see what our pole sitter can do for this one. See if he can get this car to go any quicker. As he comes through first couple of corners here. Looks like he may have a little bit of traffic in front of him. Have to keep a close eye on, but he's gone purple in the first sector with a 20.645. James will be pretty happy with that. Rides the curve a little bit there, uses the extra width of the track coming down the back straight. And getting under brakes here, nice and early. And sets another purple sector. He's on a flyer here, but he's got one of the other SSR teammates in front of him. He's got to be a little bit careful, they don't trip over each other. As Troy Maguire and Roy Clark have had an incident further on, we might go back and look at in a minute. James Scott definitely using everything right out to the wall here. As his teammate pulls off in front of him. Good communication there by the SSR boys. But Ross only goes at green in the second sector and pulls out of that one. So definitely balked at the end of that lap after setting 2 purple sectors. Rather interesting, that one. So Scott back into the pits. Let's see if Jordan Ross can pick up the challenge. Our P2 man, as Adam Briggs has just jumped himself into the train, so he's done well. Paul Warwick he's completed his lap as well. Cameron G. Jones is another guy who's usually quick. He's done his lap. He hasn't improved. Brenton Hobson's improved. He's got himself up to 11th. Nice bit of work there from Hobbo. Sure we'll be pretty happy with that. So keep looking here to see if there's anyone else jumps up. The next guy to jump up is McKnight. McKnight sitting himself now in 9th spot. So the talk at the moment really would have to be the Dr. Paul Warwick from Fishy Motorsports. Back into the sim after an absence and definitely picking up where he left off, which is great to see. And I did say we'd go back and have a look at the incident involving Roy Clark. Roy's just got a little bit loose on the curb and speared off into the wall. And I think Troy Maguire may have been somewhere there as well. So a few of these boys struggling a little bit with qualifying on this circuit. As James Scott heads out again. around the circuit here. And it's still in replay mode, so go back to live pictures. Jump back on James Scott. So James definitely taking his time here, looking to try and set another fast lap. A couple of other little movers. Michael Whiting's worked his way up to 6th. And Damien Johnston's worked his way up to 10th. So there's a couple of movers and shakers in our list here, which is good to see. About to jump on board here with James Scott, as he is going to see if he can beat his 1:24.032. Very fast time. Revving the car up. He's about to get this thing rolling. Sector 1 with the purple sector. 20.615. Nicely rides it off the curb out wide here. And goes to 17.405. Another purple sector. Sector 2. Definitely. Accelerates out of the turn, a little bit loose on exit there. Nice and wide, very difficult corner, just hangs on a little bit. Let's see if he can finish this off. No, ducked into the pits again. Just lost that little bit in sector 3 there, it's cost him again. As now might jump on with Christian Smart. So Christian's getting on further back in the pack. And Christian, of course, in the 999 Commodore for Synergy Sim Racing. Sitting 13th at the moment. A cracking effort there. As we continue on a little bit. We might just have a quick look where Dengate is. Dengate is back in P16, struggling with qualifying with this open format. Been a constant thing that we've seen this season. They're doing quite well, young Harrison. So I think the youngest driver in the series. And flying solo tonight has got sickness within the WK&P camp, with four boys out sick this evening, along with Barella, who's looking after a sick wife, and Josh Drage is also not well, so boys are a bit depleted in numbers. The WK&P team. So at the moment we've only got 25 cars on track. As Dengate comes across the line, we're going to see an improvement here. Dengate goes quicker, puts himself in the top 10 with a P8, coming out with a 1:24.9, and just getting leaped then by Brett Hobson and Paul Young. Dylan Rudd coming in behind him, the 9.5 Sim Sports driver, doing a cracking effort here as the clock's ticking down. We're down to less than 5 minutes here for qualifying. Definitely a lot happening. As we continue on, as we talked about before, the boys only having 2 sets of tyres tonight in 3 stops. It'll be interesting to try and see how that plays out. Very hard for us to note what's going on. It's a bit of a SDK issue that I haven't worked out. Of course, a big shout out to Peter Kelleher and Luke Holland cheering on the SSR boys. Not sure why Luke Holland isn't in the server racing. Of course, Luke, one of our favourites we like to follow here. Give it a stick as Dengate does a bit of rallycross. Thomas Freeman is off the track as well. We might have a quick word with Dengate. Seems he's just done that. How you going, Harrison? Bit loose out there, mate.
Yeah. Loose is a good word to describe it.
He's sitting in the top 10, mate. You've probably got one more run to go. Any last minute tweaks to happen here, or are you just going to change the tyres and light the wicks?
Honestly, I'm just going to go out and send it. There's nothing much more I can really do because I don't really know the track that well. It's not really a track that I like. So I feel like if I have a good baseline right now, so if I just really try and push it and, you know, try and master all the sectors, I should be pretty good for a bit of an improvement.
Yep. Oh, we'll see how we go there, mate. I'll just throw you back downstairs. I thought I'd just get a quick word before you go out for this last shot. Best of luck, buddy.
Thank you.
Righto, so we heard it there from young Harrison Dengate, sitting in 10th at the moment. So at the moment, state of play is James Scott, the fast man himself, the bloke we expect to see running at the pointy end of this field. Jordan Ross in second. Ben Morris has jumped up and done really, really well. To be sitting there in third. Adam Briggs is in fourth. Paul Warwick, McKnight in sixth, which is great, in front of Michael Whiting. So battle of the old-time pros there. And then we drop down to another old-time professional in Banter Alliance's Paul Young, sitting in 8th. Hobbo in 9th, Freeman in 10th, Dengate in 11th. So these boys now getting into the pointy end of this one. Big shout out to Sean McNamara as well, who's jumped in the chat. As we are about to go in here for a big fight to get this to the finish. So a few boys off tracks, Ross and Warwick. So hopefully they're on their outlap still. As we continue on here. Gordon Ross parked up there on the side of the circuit, facing the wrong direction. That's a bit of interesting. I wonder if he's stuck in the wall here. Doesn't look like he's going to get it going. So he's requested a tow. That'll be the end of Jordan Ross. So that'll open the door up for James Scott. So interesting one there, getting stuck in the wall for Jordan. Of course, don't forget, she's the Enduro tonight, 300 Ks. These boys have got a long way to go as James Scott comes through the infield here. And let's see what he can do with this one. He goes quicker again with a 1:23.853. 0.4 faster than the man in P2, Jordan Ross. That is a cracking drive that we've just seen. As we just continue on now, James probably on an in lap, I would say. So just keep an eye on a few of the others. Ben Morris. So he's gone through, coming up in his back section. So we see what Ben can do. Blake Warboys has entered the server, so I'm not sure whether Blake's driving. I was under the impression he might not be. Might be feeling up to it. Starting rear grid. No, we haven't got a cam. Oh no, he's not on track. So as these boys here duck into the pits, Cameron G. Jones is in, Michael Whiting is out there. As we run through the last minute or two. As the clock's about to wind down now, so I think we might just about have our grid set very quickly here. As pick up Brenton Hobson. Bobo coming around into turn 12. Nicely hangs onto it. A couple of green sectors here for Hobson, so he might be about to move himself up the leaderboard on Paul Young. As Hobson's about to come across the line, Freeman's gone up into 8th. Hobson, he's done a 1:24.954. 0:01 behind Paul Young. Let's pick up this next group that's about to come through with Harrison Dengate. Harrison going to get himself into the top 10. No, he doesn't. Stays at 1:24. Jamie Dyke comes up. Big spinner in the background there. Not sure who that was. But we are just about now all out, I believe. I think Kenny Laddart. No, Kenny's out as well. I've got a feeling that everyone now has pretty well much set their time. And I do believe Blake Warboys may be driving. And I can confirm, each for this session. I can't confirm anything. Okay, that's fair enough. Go back to that one. Let's try that one more time. That's not work. Yeah, I can confirm the webcam is on. So Warboys must be starting rear of grid. So let's go and jump into our grid settings now and have a quick look at what's going on. As we jump in here, we've got James Scott on pole from Team Boss, Jordan Ross. Phase 4's Ben Morris sits in 3rd from Adam Briggs, our championship champion. Followed by Paul Warwick sitting in 5th. In 6th, I've got Dylan Rudd, Cameron G. Jones in 7th, Thomas Freeman in 8th. Jamie McKnight sitting in 9th, the People's Champion himself. Michael Whiting, Team Boss from Fishy Motorsports, alongside him in 10. SSR's Damien Johnstone in 11. Paul Young sitting in 12 from the Banter Alliance. Big shout out to the BAR boys. Then after that, I've got Brenton Hobson alongside Harrison Dengate from WK&P. Then we've got 19 Matty Stewart in 15th, alongside Christian Smart in 16th from Synergy Sim Racing. Jamie Dyke from Fishy Motorsports in 17th, opposite SSR's Kenny Ladder in 18th. David Kirby from Fishy Motorsports is 19. Brady Baldwin from High Octane Sim Sports in 20th. Roy Clark from the Banter Alliance in 21st. Troy Maguire from Fishy 22. Dave Coleman from Fishy Motorsports sits in 23 alongside 9.5 Sim Sports Craig Schultz. And then after that, we drop back down to Simon Mesimo from 9.5 Sim Sports. And then Blake Warboys that didn't set a time starting rear of grid. And then we have Sebastian, our race control. And with him, we've got Richie Barella, who will be driving the safety car. This looks like it is going to be a cracker of a race. That's all I'm going to say. As try and get all of my stuff up and happening. And track map doesn't want to come on, but that's all right. James Scott still to go to the grid, our pole sitter. And it is a cracking track, this one. We are racing at a home of speed, Indianapolis Speedway. As you can see, we've got the brick stripe just in front of our pole sitter, James Scott. These boys here are definitely looking like we're going to have a cracker of a race here. Let's hide the tower so we can show everybody. Only a smaller field, not our usual 30 or 40 cars, only down to 26 cars tonight. About to go green in about 5 seconds. So hopefully, being a long enduro, these boys settle in. We don't see too many incidents. These guys have got a long way to go. And, of course, as we said, 3 compulsory pit stops and only 2 sets of tyres they're allowed to change. So this will be an interesting one as we're about to go. Got 1 red, 2 red, 3 red, 4 red, 5 red, green. We're away. Big lock up by someone in the background there. Big tap. Looks like it might even be McKnight in trouble there. But James Scott, the man that struggled with starting the first half of the season, has got away and got away clean. And Morris tucking in behind, not quite side by side back there with Jordan Ross. These boys battling quite hard. Always involved in an accident. We'll come back to that one in a minute. So I'm not sure what's happened to Brenton Hobson. He's on the radio pretty quick there. As these boys here starting to pull away a little bit. And James Scott definitely clearing out quite quickly, but definitely a lot of battling going on in the back there. Not 100% certain, but I think we may have a safety car. Brody Baldwin's involved in an accident as well. No, he's not out. Back in it. Just thought I saw Richard Barella go out there for a minute. So we'll continue on. James Scott out to a 1.7 second lead already on this lap 1 of this 73 lap race. And some tight racing already going on. And we do have a safety car. I repeat, we do have a safety car. So I'm assuming that's Brenton Hobson parked at the end of the straight there. We might just quickly have a quick look what's going on as everyone dives into the pits. So it's a Supercheap Auto replay. Hobson on the outside there coming in. Blew an engine, braking hard in there. Wow. Wow. That is not very common for Hobbo. I've never seen Hobbo blow an engine like that, particularly turn 1, lap 1. Long way to go though, get himself back in. This is what's happened to Brady Baldwin. Nice little clip there, coming into the chicane, taking one of the fishy boys with him. Looks like Dave Kirby. Pete Kelleher, yeah, no Mark tonight, mate. He's in Sydney having a trip down there with his partner, so I'm fishing a little bit alone by myself. That's all right. And let's have a look at this Jamie McKnight start as we jump onto the drone cam. Was it Jamie? I'm on the wrong car. So McKnight just parked it up there. Didn't go anywhere. A couple of taps. Sean saying that we had a bit of damage there with Hobbo early on there at the start. Now we'll quickly pick up where we're up to here. Thomas Freeman didn't pit, so we've got a few boys that haven't pitted here. So we've got Thomas Freeman hasn't pitted, nor has Michael Whiting. Dengate has stayed out. Schultz has stayed out as well. So James Scott sitting in 5th. And everyone else has pitted. Hobson's still in the pits, of course, getting his car repaired. And continuing on here. So, as we said, a long way to go. So the boys that have actually gone in and pitted are probably going to be ahead of the game with 3 stops and 2 sets of tyres. And now not have to worry about being disadvantaged with a set. It looked like Freeman's just peeled off into the pits there. So has Harrison, Dengate, Schultz as well. So I think they've all thought the same thoughts that I have. But Freeman has stayed out. So interesting move by Freeman. Completely opposite strategy to everybody else. So seems we're going around again. We might take this opportunity to quickly throw in an ad from Supercheap Auto.
There's no arguing that people love their cars.
We won't argue.
And people who love their cars love to tinker with them. Some people tinker big, some people tinker small. And that's where Supercheap Auto comes in. We've been helping people tinker for 50 years. For people like Bill, Lucy, Kevin, other Kevin.
Oi, get off my car!
Didn't catch this guy's name. Not Patrick. He doesn't shop with us. Whoever you are, whatever you drive, we'll help you make it super.
So still sitting under the safety car here. Gotten word that the safety car is in at the end of this lap from race control. So some big moves already. Christian Smart's up 8. Blake Warboy's up 12 spots in the 14th already. It's not too bad of an effort for someone starting from the rear of grid. And we can see everyone has stopped except for Freeman. Dave Coleman's in the pits as well at the moment. Hobson's back out on track, but he's a lap down. But don't forget, he may have an opportunity to work his way back into this. Still 70 laps to go. A long way around this place. The old Betts boys did 2 100k races around here on Thursday night, and it was an absolute battle, to say the least. Doing it, even though the 100k races, it was still pretty hard work. There are some very difficult corners here to brake and get correct. So start to settle ourselves back into going again. Big thanks to DC Shades, of course, for sponsoring our safety car. So if you're looking for window coverings, I highly recommend DC Shades, particularly if you're in the Melbourne area. As safety car pulls away from the pack here. Nice bit of work here by Richie. Of course, again, DC Shades, big thank you to them for sponsoring our safety car for the East Coast Series. So what will Freeman do here? That is the question. Will he go early? Will he hold it? Don't forget, she's a long straightaway. We want to try and go that fraction early. I'd say we're off. On the green flag, got to be careful here. Long straightaway, big drafting opportunities for everybody. As they all tuck in behind Thomas Freeman, our race leader. James Scott, Ben Morris, Jordan Ross, Adam Briggs. Of course, nearly everybody getting that stop out of the way except for Thomas Freeman. James Scott here already looking to get a bit of fresh air out in front of him. That's a little bit of a look up inside there. There's James Scott. Scott using all the track here, trying to find a good way past. Can't say very much difference in tyres. Tyre wear is running. Got the safety car in lap 1. Damien Johnstone involved in an incident a bit further back. We'll come back to that one in a minute. I think he's just ran off track. But you can see here James Scott menacing the back of the purple Falcon Mustang in front of him. YouTube entry. As we see in the draft. Pulls out, hasn't a look. Hobson's coming back out on track there. It's James Scott gets the job done. A little bit of a tap, very subtle. Right at the back there still. James Scott gets his way through. Adam Briggs now battling behind Jordan Ross. With Dylan Rudd from 9.5 Sim Sports tucked in behind him. Bit of an epic battle here. He's going to get it done. They touch, bit of pedal rubbing. Looks like everyone's going to get through here, still side by side. I think these two are done yet. Rudd caught out a little bit, tucking back in behind again. And G. Jones wanting to have a bit of a look. Jump back up to Ben Morris. Ben Morris is under a fair bit of pressure here from Jordan Ross behind him. So definitely a fair bit happening here as the boys all head back down onto the start-finish straight away. As you can see, she's a long straightaway here at Indianapolis. It's Ben Morris. This gets passed by Jordan Ross here. So a couple of movements a bit further back in the field as well. All boys up 14 spots into 12. Kenneth Ladder up 10 spots into 8. Great drive from Ken. There's Adam Briggs now has a bit of an excursion on the grass. Lost in a couple of spots. Sure what calls in the pit lane for. Missed that one. Let's jump back on with Dylan Rudd, who's pushing up onto Ben Morris. So James Scott already out to a 1.5 second gap here. Thomas Freeman with Jordan Ross tucked up behind him. Dylan Rudd 1.3 back, so he'd be hoping to try and latch onto the back of Morris here so he can get himself into the slipstream a little bit. Still a bit of a distance to go there though. There we go. We've got a drive-through penalty for Brady Baldwin for contact with the 21 on lap 1. So the 21 of course is still Troy Maguire, go a little bit further back. He's tucked up behind Matt Stewart. Harrison Dengate just in front of them. The race now starting to settle in to a bit of a pattern there, a bit of a lock-up from one of the 9.5 boys in the background. But we continue battling away. Also, if you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, jump in the pet chat, so you know, let us know what's going on. Let us know who you're supporting, and we'll try and give them a shout out, let you know what's happening. These boys here now side by side. Can Maguire get it done? No, he can't. And up front, Freeman still. Jordan Ross. Ben Morris still hanging on to the back of these boys, and they've pulled away from Dylan Rudd. So we're continuing on. It's on the outside, it's on the inside. Jump back on that Maguire battle again, still side by side again. Matt Stewart. Looks like Troy's going to get the job done this time. Coming into turn 12. Manages to pull it up. Of course, this will allow Kirby and Besamo to bunch up behind these boys. We'll just have a quick look at what War Boys is up to. War Boys still up 14 spots. Sitting in front of McKnight. Trying to hunt down Dyke. He's 2 seconds up the road in front of him, so that'll be a big ask without a tow. Michael Whiting is putting a bit of being passed now by Dengo. Harrison getting the job done there. And Thomas Freeman still under a lot of pressure from Jordan Ross. Jordan starting with a very racy year. tight there. And might have a quick look how Jamie McKnight's going. Still being hunted down by Warboys. Still hunting Warboys in front. And of course Dengate behind, so he's in a bit of a WK&P sandwich. Of course, take the opportunity to also send another shout out to one of our sponsors in West End Motor Group, of course. The leaders on the front screens of the cars. Of course, West End Motor Group in Sydney, quite well known for all the organisations that they represent, which is sort of Too Easy Finance, Parramatta Mazda, Parramatta Isuzu Utes, Parramatta Peugeot Professionals, Parramatta City Haval and GWM, Blacktown Mazda and Blacktown City Haval GWM. So if you're in the Sydney area in the market for a car, make sure you give the team at West End Motor Group a big shout out. Tell them the boys from the East Coast V8 sent them. Nate McKnight here battling away in 13th. Still holding off the boys behind. Going to jump up, Cameron G. Jones, Adam Briggs now, coming side by side. A little bit of action as Briggsy gets past Jones, moves himself up into 5th spot. Coming back from that little bit of an outing that he had earlier. A little bit of an off track where he allowed about 4 or 5 cars past. I can sort that one out. Sorry, Peter. So busy used to balancing out the volume of Mark tyre racing than myself. That's the story there. I think I've turned up the wrong one on here as well. We continue on now also. As Mark said, don't forget to give a thumbs up to the channel and like and subscribe as well for both Facebook and YouTube. It's all our supporters out there watching that make the difference with what we do here. And Adam Briggs again off in the grass. I did say this track would catch a few of these boys out. And we're definitely seeing that now as these boys here battling again between Briggs and Rudd this time. Very close together, these guys. Just can see how deep we can go in the brakes. Dylan Rudd positioning the car in a good spot. We get 2 wide through 1. It's going to hang Rudd out in 2. Nicely tucks in behind. This is bringing the ladder into the battle. He looks a bit wider. Dylan Rudd definitely trying to get back into this. As you can see, Briggs a little bit rough off the curb there. It's got a slow exit. Allowed Rudd to close the gap a bit. And definitely working well. As Dave Coleman's had an incident, we might just quickly jump on to the Supercheap Auto replay and have a look. Coming through the complex, over the curve a little bit. Just found the grass and just spun himself around sideways. Looks like he's going to be safe there. No one's going to hit him. We'll go back to live pictures. And just going to go back and just see if we can have a look at another incident, if I can find it. He's going to look, something's happened to Brady Baldwin. Just going to have a look what's going on here. Jump back onto a bit wide on the grass there. Gets it going again. Roy Clark's had an off on lap 9. Scroll through a couple of these. It's always good fun to see Roy mowing some lawn. That's one for you, Andrew Ritchie, if you're out there. As we go back to live pictures, we've still got this tight battle up the front here as well. Thomas Freeman. He's got Ben Morris tucked up behind him. Jordan Ross has cleared out a little bit here, but of course James Scott's cleared right out now to a 5-second gap. So definitely all happening. Definitely a fair bit going on around the traps, but we'll try and catch up with that one a bit later. And jump back down. Dylan Rudd still battling away with Jones. And just notice Warboys has been passed by Dengate and McKnight. So I'm just going to have a bit of a look how that happened. So I'm not sure. I think McKnight, here we go, Warboys just cooked it a bit hot. Turn 12's caught out a few there and he's let 3 pass. So that's what's happened to Warboys. Let's go back to live picks. A little bit happening. I apologise not being able to be across everything tonight. Just flying a little bit solo makes it a little bit harder. Might just jump back to the other battle pack involving Michael Whiting and Dengate. So these boys all bunching up a bit behind McKnight. And McKnight, of course, missing his rear wing. Dengate closing right in there. Of course, Jamie McKnight, the legend of fuel saving here. You hear the short shifts going on. Managing to get a fair bit of drive coming onto the straight as well for that short shift. Dengate not being able to make an indent here. Of course, Dengate with Whiting, Warboys and the rest. So we're just continuing on. So lap 16 to 73. Cameron Jones went off track. Was going to jump back to that battle pack. So Cameron Jones has gone off track and let Rudd and Briggs through. Or let Rudd through, sorry. So that's opened that battle up a little bit. Thomas Freeman still under pressure. A little bit of pressure from behind from Ben Morris. Ben Morris driving really well here to hang on to him. Of course, Freeman still to make 3 stops. Everyone else in the field to make 2. So that creates another bit of drama moving forward. But the story so far is James Scott is 6 seconds out in front of everybody else. Having a cracking drive. And he's going to jump back to Whiting. Whiting now putting pressure on Dengate. And side by side. Oh, bit of a lock up from Michael Whiting. Dengate's going to get away with this. War Boys now sticking his nose in. Oh, big lock up from War Boys. Gets a little bit of a tap from Dengate. That's opening the door up now for Maguire. So we might just quickly go to the webcam here, which is not up yet. So we go back to that one. Sorry. Jump back on the webcam of War Boys. War Boys tucked up behind Whiting here. Working quite hard at what he's doing. He's got Dengate behind and Briggs and Rudd involved in an accident. We might quickly go to that. All happening. So Briggs both ran wide. Briggs sells the dummy, Rudd follows. And a little bit of a tap. And Jones involved. Jones goes wide now. Very messy. 3 wide coming through turn 12. Let's go back to live picks. Bit of action everywhere. Going to jump back up there with Briggs. You got Briggs, Ladder, Jones, Smart. And in the meantime there, speaking of Smart, Jamie McKnight's ducked in for his second stop. Fix up that rear wing, fix the car up. As we're 2 wide the background there, Cameron Jones, Kenny Ladder. Jones is going to get through. Christian Smart getting involved in this little battle here as well. So some good little battles going on all around the place at the moment. And might just jump back to another one. Roy Clark starting to catch up to Simon Mesamo. The Banter Alliance faithful will be quite happy with how Roy's travelling here. And jump back up on Cameron G. Jones again. That battle still hasn't unfolded itself. Kenny Ladder and Chris Smart trying to buy into this one as well. A little bit unstable there from Jones coming onto the back straight. So he doesn't put much pressure on. Going to jump back up on Thomas Freeman. He's starting to be under a bit of pressure. War Boys is also all over the back of Whiting here. So might just jump there. And I've been joined in the comm box by David Worrell. How are you, Dave?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. Yourself?
Not too bad at all. Nice to have some company. How are you?
Yeah, get there, mate. Can't complain. I've got home from work and keeping the missus happy for a bit and all that sort of stuff. I left you in the capable hands of Gunther. I don't know if that was a good thing or not.
Be very careful what good to get up to.
I'm very worried, mate. I'm very worried. I'll have to go check on him in a bit.
So, state of play, we're 20 laps in here. We had a safety car on lap 1 with Jamie McKnight stalling on the start line, being clipped by a few guys. We believe Brenton Hobson got engine damage and blew his engine going into turn 1, which brought out the safety car. Everybody pitted except for Thomas Freeman. And James Scott's cleared out to a 6-second lead from Ross, who's 3 seconds up the road from Freeman. He's under pressure from Ben Morris. They're 7 seconds up the road from the Dylan Rudd, Briggs, Jones ladder battle with Smart. And then we've got Dyke and Young. And then War Boys, he's just got himself past. And Christian Smart's just crashed. So I'm going to go straight to the Supercheap Auto replay. So what did Smarty do? Jones in front of him, I think, lost control. Oh, that's a big one. That's massive.
That's huge.
That is massive. We might replay that one again just to have another second look at that. So Cameron G. Jones is the man that actually came off first there, lost control. Big tank slapper. Chris Smart, nowhere to go. I got a feeling we may be under safety car.
I think we may be too. There was almost a couple of guys came through as well. Almost got it as well.
Let's go back to live pictures here, and we are under safety car. Everyone diving into the pits. Get to see Richie Barella go out again. So, of course, these guys tonight are only allowed 2 tyre changes out of 3 compulsory pit stops. So I'd assume nobody would have changed tyres on their first stop. So this will be their first stop for tyres. And, of course, we're just under a third distance of the race, so it's probably not going to upset anybody too much. I'd probably say, like most things, you probably really should be stopping. As James,
the opportunity whenever you can get it.
Absolutely. So James Scott here, still on track. But I'd say he'd be about to duck into the pits here for James. Of course, it's joys when you're so far ahead of everybody. Doesn't feel like you're in sequence. That was a big hit, though. Got to feel sorry for Chris Smart there.
It's good to see he knows where the pits are too.
Unlike Gunter.
Yeah, I know, eh?
Didn't go park it in front of an ambulance looking for service.
Oh, well, you gotta take the opportunity when you can get from what he says.
Definitely. So, James Scott's in the pits. Roy Clark has stayed out as well, so not sure what Roy's up to. Safety car's on track. Everyone's getting a wave by here while we wait for, I believe it'll be James Scott to come pick it up.
Yeah, I think you just had enough lead, so you should be able to keep it, I reckon.
Yep. As we go past the Century Motorsport entry of Cameron G. Jones there, parked up on the side of the road, which is what's brought out this safety car. And of course, the safety car brought to you by DC Shades. So if you're in the market for window coverings, definitely recommend DC Shades in the Melbourne area. Safety car waiting to pick up our race leader, which I think will be Jordan Ross. Based off that, Jordan's continued on. He went in early, though. He managed to get that earlier stop. Scott's now coming out. He's going to come out behind Morris as well. And, of course, Thomas Freeman's got his first stop out of the way, so he's still got to squeeze another stop out somewhere as we continue on here.
Run it long and hope for another safety car, maybe.
It's pretty much going to have to be the plan, I think. So she's a tough get, this track. Like, it's a fairly basic layout when you first look at it, but when you actually drive it, it's got some very interesting idiosyncrasies about it, with the surface being flat, very little camber in it.
Yeah, you got to be very patient in getting on the throttle because of being so flat. And then when the camber goes on, when you go on back on the oval, it can get pretty bad as well. Slipping it out a fair bit.
As the boys have now picked up the safety car, driven by Richie Barella, of course.
I don't know how I feel about looking out the rear of Richard Barella.
The second time he's been out tonight.
It's the most work he's done in a long time.
Definitely. Oh, he's on the grass!
Oh!
He's on the grass! No, Richie!
Oh! He's cutting someone's grass. Jeez.
Oh, Richie. Not quite bad enough. Must have kept 2 wheels on the grass. Two wheels on the asphalt because we didn't get... didn't show up in SDK. What a bummer.
Damn it. Don't tell him that, but...
Oh, we still saw it.
Yeah, exactly.
Someone goes for the quick wave around. That's Hobbo. I did say Hobbo might get his lap back. So keep an eye on Brenton Hobson for fighting it back from the rear. As Coleman ducks in for his third stop, which is interesting.
Yeah, it's. Did he have is this his second pit stop under the safety car? Maybe just trying to get that extra bit of fuel in.
Could be. As we continue on here.
This track wasn't. I don't think this track's too hard on tyres either, so not too bad from memory.
It doesn't overload the tyres in too many places. What we might do is we might take quick opportunity to bring Warboys in, have a quick chat, see how he's getting on. Blake, how you going, mate?
Oh, I've had better days.
Had better days, yeah. You're up 14 spots in 12th, though.
Yeah.
So you've taken your second stop, mate. I'm assuming that first one you didn't grab tyres.
Nah, I didn't grab tyres enough.
So it'll be one more stop to go. So pretty well much, you can probably go a fairly long way with this one. I was going to say deep, but I know what Dave's going to say.
Yeah, you're safer there, mate. It's Gunter.
So I think you'll probably go fairly deep into the race with this set of tyres, wouldn't we? With your fuel?
Yeah, roughly try and get another 30 laps relatively out of this set of
Yeah.
tyres. Yeah, we'll see.
You'll see. Of course, bit of a rough couple of starts there. So you sort of off on the grass, had a few of the boys past.
Yeah,
Anyway, Richie's
hard to get practice in being sick. So.
Anyway, Richie's going to go crash the safety car, so I'm going to put you back down with Harrison.
Righto, thanks, Johnny.
So
I reckon he's going to muff it up.
Yep. Come on, Richie. Ooh, very tight on the curb there.
No pressure.
No pressure. We jump back on Jordan Ross here. So Jordan Ross in control. You loving that? You can see whether he holds him, whether he goes early on this turn 14, like we saw with Freeman in the last start. Ross is going to take him further.
You'll go late.
He's off. We are green flag racing. It's weighted right to the curb, though. This is going to really concertina the boys at the back a bit. He's got the jump on Morris. James Scotty having a bit of a look up the inside.
And someone else going up as well.
I reckon you wouldn't argue too much with Scotty if I was Ben Morris. I'd just let him through, tuck in behind and try and hitch a toe. But Briggs is in trouble. The series champion. Quickly on the Supercheap Auto replay. What's Briggsy done? Got caught wide. He's come in, and one of the 9.5 boys, they've managed to, Dylan Rudd, I think that was. That's big for the championship, that incident. So Briggsy trying to get himself back into it.
Bit of red mist going.
Bit of red mist there. And that one being called into race control for sure. It's another incident that's happened with our other mate, Jamie McKnight. Don't know where to look here at the moment.
Safety cars breed safety cars.
They definitely do. Trying to find what's going on with McKnight. Go back to Supercheap Auto replay. Oh, 3 wide. There's an WK&P in there. That was Harrison, I think. That was Dengate involved in that one as well. So see what happens there. As we go back to live picks. And still battling away. Going to go on the Warboys. Warboys has got himself in the 7th out of that restart in the safety car.
It's a decent effort, that.
Decent effort. Up 19 spots from rear of grid. Racing.
Might be able to snag another one here.
Racing with a bit of the dreaded sickness at the moment. And Simon Mesmo being off track there as well. Just going to jump back on a bit further. Of course, Adam Briggs now is back going again. He's tucked up behind Craig Schultz. So he'd be trying to fight his way through here. You can see how the champion goes with a bit of red mist in his eyes.
Gonna get interesting.
Picks off one. Still a few boys in front of him there. It's going to keep a little bit of an eye on the James Scott, Ben Morris gap and the War Boys, Jamie Dyke gap. Oh, a little bit loose there as well. Managed to hang on to that. I know I said it last season, but Adam Briggs can drive.
Yeah, he definitely can steer.
Oh, yeah. And doing well here. It's going to sort of keep a bit of an eye up the front. We're still tightly packed up here with James Scott now starting to put a bit of pressure on Jordan Ross. So I don't think it'll be too long till we see James try and make a move here, I think. I don't think Jordan can hold him up for too long.
Just make it, trying to make it as wide as he can. I think they'll have a lunge down here, I reckon.
Way too far back there.
Too far back, eh?
Yeah, Ben Morris hanging on to this as well as Thomas Freeman. I would have expected the two SSR guys to definitely pull away here and put a bit of a gap on these guys. Of course, we're only lap 26 to 73, so still a long way to go. As we heard from War Boys, they were looking to put on about 30 laps. So you're looking at about lap 50-ish before they start coming in for the next set of tyres.
It's a long way to go on a set of tyres.
Mm. And Adam Briggs and Roy Clark have been caught up in an incident. Roy Clark into the back of Briggs there. Both run wide on the grass. That's allowed all those cars that Briggs had gotten past. And big shout out to Steve Murray in the chat as well. How are you, mate? Of course, in the box with me tonight, Steve, I've got David Worrell. Apparently Gunter's been locked in a box somewhere in the house.
Locked in a box with a, let me just say, a mask on.
And Dylan Rudd just gets the drive through there for contact with Briggsy.
I might go let him out.
As moving through here, good little battle here. Jordan Ross holding up James Scott, or James Scott sitting behind Jordan Ross saving fuel. Still trying to work out which one it is at the moment. Just going to jump back to our other little pack we've been watching, which is War Boys. This train here, sort of tucked up behind Jamie Dyke. So, of course, Jamie, the Fishy Motorsports legend that he is. And he's got War Boys tucked up behind him. So great little train of cars here, sort of Dyke, War Boys, Whiting, Johnstone, Maguire, Dengate. And of course, the Fishy drivers are all quite accustomed to endurance style racing. Not the most easiest track to be running across. So this little battle pack here. No one really getting close enough here to make a charge. War Boys would be looking to get in the draft.
Might be able to stick it up on the inside here. You reckon too far away?
Tucked up nicely behind, but doesn't get the job done. Of course, Dengate tucked up behind, watching all this unfold. A couple of interesting lines going in there. Damien Johnstone going in very shallow into the corner.
Could have been worse. Could have gone deep into the corner.
Would have. Dengate on the big fuel save. So we know what game Dengate's playing here. He's going to see how far he can go. Jump on with Michael Whiting. Of course, the Fishy Motorsports boss, keeping a close eye on his teammate Jamie Dyke here, sitting in front of Warboys. Warboys stuck in a fishy sandwich here. And what can Blake do this time? He's in the draft. That gap's closing. Is he going to have enough room to get it done? I don't think so. Don't think so. Troy Maguire, Damien Johnston go side by side behind them. So still battling away. It's allowed Dengate to latch back onto the back of this. And bring Christian Smart with him. Some good close racing around.
It is. It's nice and close. There's a lot of respect for each other. One of the WK&P cars dropped off then.
And Smart and Dengate. Chris Smart showing plenty of pace here as well. Just go and jump back up the front for a second. Before I do that, Johnstone off on the grass. Excuse me. So very tight. It's going to jump back at the front there. James Scott and Jordan Ross, then James Scott in P2. I'd probably say if we jump on board with Scott for a lap, I reckon there's probably a fair bit of fuel saving going on. As he already confuses me when I jump on his nose stand. It's like, hang on.
Oh, right. I'm sitting there looking, going. He's still hitting the red lights.
Of course, Jordan caught up with me this week and mentioned how much the Synergy Sim Racing boys are enjoying the Supercheap Auto East Coast Series. Got two of them battling away like this up front. Big fuel saving from Jordan, James Scotty. You got two boys battling up front like this. Of course, you're not. What don't you have not to enjoy?
Yeah, exactly right. Putting on a good show. Love it when you can have a go with your mates and yeah.
And a little curb. And you drive back in the tow here. Lifting coast. It'd be interesting if we jump on board now of Jordan Ross and just have a listen and just see if he's doing the same. Using all the track there, get out, try and get a bit of draft off the wall. It doesn't sound like Jordan's working too hard to save fuel.
No, he's still having a crack. Maybe he's got his plan, he just wants to stick to it.
Yeah. And it's right on board a little bit longer here. Definitely no lifting coast like we heard from James Scott behind. And Ben Morris still hanging on to the back of these boys as well. So definitely not pulling away as much as I thought they would. Just going to have a quick look what happened to Dengate. Dengate had a little bit of a whoopsie, I think. He's caught up there with 2 other cars. So I might just go back down a little bit further here. 3 wide into turn 1. And Maguire clips him. And then he clips Johnstone. Gets it going and composed. And let's go have a quick look at Jamie Dyke, still battling away. Warboys has managed to get past him. So Warboys now up 20 spots into 6th.
He's having a good crack.
Definitely having a good crack for young Blake. Of course, racing with the dreaded Lurgy at the moment, so didn't do any qualifying. And jumped on the sim basically about 5 minutes before the race started. So I did say at the start of the broadcast he may not be racing tonight, and he's turned up. So great to see from the man who's sitting high in the championship now, sitting in 4th.
That's an awesome effort. If I did that, I'd be hitting the wall every 5 seconds. or turning down pit lane the wrong way. Not that you'd do that.
Well, it was a little bit of a brake lock up there. Of course, the screen's on, but no Nado behind, so I'm not sure what's happened to Nado tonight. As Dengate's had another off track, but we'll come back to that later. And Warboys goes deep. Another one cutting the grass. All that work we just talked him up for, he's just gone and let 2 boys pass. So, not the greatest. And just going to have a look at that second off from Dengate real quick. Just a little whoopsie on the grass as well in the same spot. As Hobbo's gone into the pits. Let's jump back to live picks. And just noticed here that we've still got Jordan Ross with James Scott tucked behind. Ben Morris 1.2 seconds further back. And post-race points penalty for Jamie McKnight for contact with car 3 on 24.
Wow.
Wow. Lap 24. Let's just scroll back and see if I can find that one. Just probably this one here. Go with Supercheap Auto Replay. There, that's the incident there. So that's a big call, that one.
That is.
We'll let race control stew over that, probably. Probably struggle a little bit. Considering how many cars had gone past, there was no real gain made out of it. So, interesting one. Let race control stew over that one. Of course, they've stewed over it already.
I was going to say, I think they've already done that.
Anyway, onwards and upwards for Jamie. So, continuing on here, Michael Whiting now putting all the pressure on Jamie Dyke. Of course, have a quick look here again with Jamie McKnight. This is lap 35 now. Two boys have... No, McKnight's got past. And around. It just looks quite clean. I don't think there's anything in that. I think Adam Briggs was a bit of a tap before that. The Briggs pass was probably a little bit of rubbing racing as we go back to the replay to look at that again. Probably not too much in that.
It's all right.
Of course, the pace that Briggs carries. As we said, Adam had a bit of the red mist on from a few of his mistakes he's made tonight. Dan Gates had another off track as well. Just dropped him back to 15th.
Everyone's starting to fall off.
They just passed the halfway mark.
Mm.
These boys have done too many sprint races, not enough enduros.
Yeah, I know. They're too busy playing the short game. They don't know about the long game.
Oh. Well, boys getting on the back of Whiting now, so this battle's starting to hotten up a little bit as well. And might just jump back. Roy Clark, big dive up the 9.5er of Simon Mezzomo. Mezzomo's going to get the job done here, is he? No? Going long way round, opens the door. Some good side-by-side racing here.
Oh, be done.
And of course, Schultz looking to get in the action here. Clark goes the rough route.
Keep it out wide.
Where's Schultz going to go?
Oh.
3 wide! Oh. There we go. That wasn't going to end well.
No. At least he was doing some tyre saving. Getting 2 tyres.
That was entertaining. Nice flick spin from Roy Clark. And backs it into him as well to say, stuff you.
It's a shame he's got a rear end.
We'll jump back on to Dyke here under pressure from Whiting. War Boys having a bit of a look here as well. Of course, have to go back. We had player of the day. That would have to be it. We have to remember
It'd
that.
have to be. It'd have to be.
Of all the ones to be live sitting on too. So let's mention, see if Whiting can break away here. And what does War Boys do? Does he stay tucked in? As out in front.
Yeah.
As out in front, we've got Ross and Scott. With Scott playing the fuel save game.
They're still maintaining a good lead, but
Absolutely. So War Boys dropped off here a little bit again. Oh, a little bit deep there. We might just go back and rewatch the Roy Clark, Simon Mesmo and Craig Schultz battle one more time. That was epic. Some nice side-by-side stuff. As we come around onto the main straight. Still
takes
sorry.
a dive right
Another
there,
main straight
gets
coming
run on him.
Run on him. Yep. Onto the back straight, uses the curb.
One goes for the grass, one goes for the curb.
Yeah, going to use the drone cam. See Schultz on the inside. And big spin by Roy Clark. And nicely backs up to say sorry. And Clark decides to go the full split spin. And I'm just going to back it in here and say, cop that.
Cop that. Take my ass. That's it.
That was funny. As Stephen Murray saying that turn 12 is the boogie corner for War Boys. I think it's been the boogie corner for a lot of boys tonight. I think you underestimate on this track the speed you carry coming into 12 as you sort of come up, sweep through 11 up onto the banking.
Yeah, the car can get really unsettled there too.
War Boys having a bit of a look here. Defensive line from Jamie Dyke. War Boys nicely tucks in. There's Maguire behind's been involved in an off track.
There's someone here who wants to talk to you, John.
Ah, Gunter.
Yeah, hello, Mr. Vanry. How are you tonight?
Very good, Mr. Gunter.
I come to the party. You told me to join the party. I come to the party and you said there's the fruit bowl with the keys, but I can't find the bowl to put my keys in. Where do I have to put the bowls? Where can I put my keys?
In the ignition.
The ignition? Is that code for, like, you know, bend over, like put the keys somewhere, or what? Is that the sort of game?
So, of course, you raced here on Thursday night, Gunter. How did you find the Indianapolis layout compared to Nordschleife?
Last time I raced here was in, like, the 1960s, yeah? And someone changed the pit entrance on me. They decided to move it and put a bloody ambulance in the middle of the way. who puts an ambulance in the middle of pit entry?
Oh, Jamie Dyke, Michael Whiting, T Fishy boys definitely going hard at it here. War Boys getting another look in. Definitely cost you a bit of time going into the wrong pit entrance.
You live and learn by your mistakes.
So, rumour has it you're now on TikTok.
Yeah, I decided to, join the modern crew, yeah, people. I got TikTok and there's a Facebook too now, yeah. Put up some of my pictures, my videos, and my adventures around, yeah. Some driver interviews. I did some interviews on the weekend, yeah. Down at the IPRA race, down at Eastern Creek. I got to meet the Stig. Did you know that?
Yeah, I did see your interview with the Stig.
I got to meet the Stig, and I put the interview up later on, yeah. I told him he was not really good.
Bit loose by Dyke there. And so, the life story has it that you were the 1969 World Touring Car Champion at the ripe old age of 15, and then disappeared from motorsport straight after that for a long period of time. Where have you been, Gunter?
You take some drugs sometimes, and you go out and you party, and I wake up and I'm like, next minute I'm like 50 years old. I'm like, where's the world gone in time? I could have driven Formula One, beaten Max Verstappen and all those sort of guys, but it's not a challenge for me anymore.
No, so you're hanging out in the V8 veterans.
Yeah, I thought I'd go out there, hang out with V8 veterans, and teach these WK&P guys how to drive, But, just hang around in Split Street because, I don't want to show everyone how good I am.
So that's part of the strategy.
Yeah, 100%, I get to go back to my homeland this weekend, We head down to Austria,
Yes.
We go down there this weekend and I get to say hello to my friend Boris the Bull,
Boris the Bull.
Boris the Bull, I have not seen him for a very long time.
As we jump back up the front here, Jordan Ross still leading James Scott. So I'd say James Scott would be saving a lot of fuel at this stage, but they have managed to pull away from Ben Morris a little bit. Freeman still a pit stop down with only one stop in the bank. And we're starting to see a few boys drop in. Matt Stewart has pitted. Craig Schultz has pitted. Dave Kirby's pitted as well. So I think those that are relatively splitting the race into three. are getting that pit stop out of the way, and I think now we're seeing the ones that are going longer on fuel. So it'll be interesting to see, as Warboys hinted, it'll be about lap 50. We expect him to be in. So definitely here, James saving a lot of fuel.
He's
Yes.
sorry, Gunther had to be very politically correct there and mute his microphone.
So Warboys, he's not really making an indent anymore on Dyke in front. So I'm wondering whether Warboys might have cooked his tyres a little bit.
Yeah, I think so. It's gone off a bit. Yeah, it looks like he's sliding around a little bit there.
This might just go back a little bit. Christian Smart still battling away, trying to latch onto the back of Johnstone in front, with Maguire tucked up
Yeah,
further 7 seconds
trying to
behind.
latch onto the back.
And everyone else starting to spread out a fair bit. So our real battle at the moment is this Jamie Dyke Warboys battle.
We might get around on him.
And Steve Murray reckons that Dyke's tyres are shot as well, so...
You can see they're both being pretty gingerly on the throttle.
Of course, you can't underestimate coming onto that bank. The car wants to slide.
Yeah, it's quite, you need to try and keep control of the arse end of the car as you go under here because it gets really loose, yeah.
And Morris and Freeman have just pitted. So I'm just wondering whether Freeman's missed the track conditions where we have 1 fast repair, unlimited fuel, 3 compulsory pit stops and 2 tyre changes. Just wondering whether he's missed a pit stop. So you've got to keep an eye on Thomas to see where he dives later on the race, or when he dives. And Freeman's jumped Morris in the pits. Or has he? Dave Coleman's had an incident. We might quickly have a look what's happened to Dave.
He's fallen a fair bit.
A little bit loose. That's the tyres going there.
Oh, his arse end is all over the road, yeah.
Yeah. Did well to keep it off the wall though.
Did it very good. There's no hole in that wall, so he stayed right away from that one.
There's Warboys tucked in behind here, behind Dyke still. I'm not seeing too much happening. Jordan Ross and James Scott. This battle been sitting at around 0.5 to 0.2 seconds for this whole stint. As we heard earlier, Scott saving a lot of fuel, so I'm expecting when their pit stop rolls out in within the next 10 laps that we'll see Scott jump Ross in the pits. Definitely a dominant display from the Synergy Sim Racing duo. Roy Clark having another off track, allowing Brenton Hobson back through. There'll be a few boys here looking for a safety car still, I think.
Definitely they're praying for him now.
Boys dropped off the back a little bit here from Dyke. Not much, but just a little bit. Definitely battling away, these boys. Coleman's had another incident.
I think he took the wrong turn.
Briggs is in the pits, so first of our big name drivers is rolling in. James Scott is going to have a look here, is he? He is too. Big dive.
Yeah. I think it might have been a bit touch of team orders there.
Ooh. Roy Clark.
Oh, no,
nice.
he's coming back.
Roy Clark nicely got out of the way in a hurry.
I reckon you might see one of them coming in.
I reckon we're going to see Ross come in, I reckon. Putting my money on Ross pitting.
Yeah.
It's continuing on here. No, it's still going. So, expect to see James Scott walk away here. Might just jump back onto this Dyke War Boys Whiting battle. Of course, Whiting sitting in P4. And the man who's quietly gone about it, who we haven't mentioned, is actually Kenny Ladder, who's sitting in P3 at the moment. 15 seconds behind. 15 seconds back, but he's definitely done well to be sitting up on the podium.
Has he stopped or is he?
Yeah, Kenny's had 2 stops.
Nice, he's in prime position.
Yeah, going really well. It's going to jump down to Thomas Freeman. He's come back out after that stop. So Dave Coleman in trouble for an unsafe rejoin on lap 44. There's Thomas Freeman and Ben Morris here. They're still racing close together. Of course, these boys pitted, or Ben Morris has pitted for his 3rd time. A few laps back. So I might just put up the pit strategy box so we can have a bit of a look what we've got. The top 20 cars. So we can see everyone Dave in on lap 1 and 2 under that first safety car. We've all gone about 27, 28 laps under this stint. McKnight's gone 31 laps. So that tells us we're definitely going to get another 4 laps out of the fuel tank. And definitely battling away here. And we can see that Morris and Freeman have all had their next stop. Briggs has had his 3 stops. But Freeman's the one to watch there with only 2 stops played out. So just got to keep that in the back of our mind as we watch what unfolds as Maguire and Young come into the pits this time. And Freeman goes cross country.
Cutting some grass.
As we said earlier, that turn 12 has caught a lot of people out tonight. Caught a lot of people out in vets too.
It's a good corner to violate someone from behind, yeah?
Definitely good corner for trimming the grass.
Yeah, it gets on there, you get it nice manicured, yeah, you can get it nice and easy. But if you get the right pathway, you can get the right strokes to the next corner straight away, yeah?
Absolutely, as Wallboys is now latched back onto the back of Dyke again, so I expect to see some of these guys roll the dice. If you're Wallboys, do you think about going the undercut here?
Yeah, I definitely would try the undercut, yeah.
Particularly if you think Dyke's holding him up, or does he sit behind Dyke still working on saving fuel?
Yeah, even if Dyke is like, a couple of laps after him, he's 2 laps out there on fresher tyres, Wallboys would have. So yeah, you definitely get the undercut. I think it would work really well.
And our chief race control, Seb, has apologised in the chat for releasing Gunter on the broadcast. Believes he should be locked away in race control.
Yeah, I said it's okay, mate. I have not done an unsafe release yet. He only just released me.
What was a bit of a lock up there? Has he managed to hang on to it? Looks like he has. Damien Johnstone's in the pits this time as well. James Scott's pulled a 2.5 second lead out on Jordan Ross already, so like I thought was probably going to happen once he decided it was time to go. And Michael Whiting here, definitely having some fun with these boys behind, and a little bit of lap traffic in front with Maguire and Young, I think. Kenny Ladder's gone into the pits. There we go. First of our top three have rolled the dice.
This is going to be interesting. How long before Ross and Scott stay out?
So Dengate's gone in along with Ladder and Smart. So Whiting, just to answer your question, Steve, Whiting has done... where are we? Whiting has done 2 stops. The first person on the list to do 3 stops at the moment is Ben Morris back in 7th. And then the man to keep an eye on is Thomas Freeman. He's behind him. He's done 2 stops and pitted at the same time as Morris. So we've got to see another stop come in there for
Warboy should go in now. He's got 20 seconds gap on McKnight. He won't lose much track position. He might lose 1 spot, I reckon.
But I just think the this might be enough to get the undercut on Dyke as well.
Exactly right.
Well, Dengate comes out to say hello. His pit stop.
Just popping out to say hello. Remember me?
And McKnight has rolled off into the pits for his pit stop. So, yeah, it would have been the time for All Boys to do it. He wouldn't have had any traffic behind him. And having a look at the last lap. But James Scott's last lap was a 1:25.57. Ross was a 1:26.2. So big difference in time. Whiting matching Ross and Dyke matching that as James Scott's the first to peel in. That's a surprise. Ross has continued on. So I think this is more about getting 20 laps out of the tyres. So he would have saved a lot of fuel, James Scott, I believe.
Tyres wouldn't have been working as hard too.
So I tend to think we'll see that. As Warboys has pitted as well.
Oh!
No.
He's done a Gunter.
He's done a Gunter. Locked it up, coming in. Did well, just touches the wall. Blake.
You've got to learn to control your ass and a lot more than that.
So Ross still our race leader, 20-second gap now back to Michael Whiting. James Scott coming out of pit lane as we speak. And about to see whether Ross will come into pit. Roy Clark's in pit lane. Ross would have to cover. No, he's going to keep going. And he's got a very fast Adam Briggs sitting behind him in 12th spot. So Briggs, of course, has had his third stop, so he's on the fresher tyres.
Gunter, get back in your box. What have I told you?
Yeah, it's not fair. You want to keep me all to yourself, Sebby boy. Come on. Let me be free, yeah? Share me around, yeah?
Okay. You for tonight only. You be good now.
Oh.
And Whiting and Dyke are in the pits now as well. And that was Seb from Race Control. There's one of the 9.5 boys doing a bit of cross country. Not sure who that was, but getting out of the way, I think. So surely Jordan Ross has got a roll in this time. That was Simon Mazzomo doing a bit of cross country driving.
Alright, he's got to come in. How much fuel can someone save?
He's come screaming up the turn 12. I reckon these tyres would be screaming they've been out there that long. I know Briggsy would be wanting him to go in, but he's going to keep going. One more. We'll just do one more. As we'll see where Warboys comes out shortly, as he comes down the straight. And Whiting and Dyke definitely well and truly up the road from him here, about 3 seconds. So that little indiscretion coming into pit lane has cost Warboys. So we can see if he can reel back that 3.5 seconds now that he's had that stop. Big shout out to Gunter's #1 fan, Hoffy.
Yeah, hello, Mr. Hoff. When you're going to pick me up and take me for a ride in your nice new shiny truck, yeah?
And just keep an eye on Jordan Ross here, but it's going to jump back on Damien Johnstone. He's sort of caught up in a battle here with Jamie Dyke and Whiting. Big dive. He's going to hang on to this. Dyke's managed to see him coming. These three.
It's not every day you see someone go deep underneath a dike.
Of course, these two battling is going to play in the hands of Warboys trying to get onto the back of the pack here. And a bit of swerving down the straight here.
This isn't going to end well.
No. And Jordan Ross is in the pits, by the way. It squeezes him a little bit. I don't think this is all done and dusted yet, though. Yes. Oh, looks like it might be. Jump on with James Scott. He's just done a purple sector lap, the last lap. So his first lap after he stopped. So absolutely flying at the moment. We'll see where James Scott and Jordan Ross roll out. Jordan Ross still on the jacks in the pits. So this gap definitely going to be, I reckon, a good 10 seconds, I think.
Easily, yeah.
Chris Smart get involved in a little incident there, a little off track. It's Ben Morris. Oh no, Jordan Ross has got out in front of Ben Morris. Only just. So, of course, Ben Morris pitted. Go to the pit strategy. Ben Morris pitted 11 laps ago, so Jordan will have the newer, fresher tyres. So I won't expect Ben to take the battle up to him, but Ben doing quite well in third spot there. And Thomas Freeman sitting behind, but Thomas, of course, has to pit one more time. So I just need to keep an eye on that, how that plays out. And then we've got a big 13-second gap back to Kenny Latta. He's up 13 spots. Michael Whiting in sixth.
Someone doing some grass cutting.
Was that Hobson? Yes, Mr. Hobson. Quite known for his dirt track racing.
Yeah, I like some track racing too. Yeah,
And
good.
Simon Mesimo running Windows 98. Definitely cutting some grass, that one. War Boys went off as well. What did Blake do? Blake went and cut some more grass as well.
Yeah, everybody's cutting grass. It's a party.
And Damien Johnstone still battling away with Chris Smart. Of course, being on an American oval circuit, you think these boys would be smacking it in the ball to go quicker instead of driving on the grass.
Yeah, I taught him everything I knew. Yeah, just edge the board with the staggered match tires. Yeah, you do right. It holds.
Pass on the outside.
You can't hold. If that tackle reaches 9,000 RPM, that's bad, okay?
Someone had nicely done a Days of Thunder parody with the Christian move.
I haven't seen that.
Yeah. It's like you can pass on the outside.
You can hold.
Things people learn from my racing. It's a Dave Kirby here battling away. This is battle for 13, 14, 15. So a nice little battle with Paul Young. A little bit of a tap there from his teammate, Troy Maguire.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a tapping on the rear end there.
And another one cutting a lot of grass. Just jump back up. Ben Morris still under a bit of pressure from Thomas Freeman. And Damien Johnstone. It's pulled away a little bit. Chris Smart hasn't been able to catch up to Dyke. So the two fishy cars now driving as the sushi train.
I was involved in a sushi train once.
And just going to go back. See if I can find the... Let's going to have another look at that pass from Paul Young here at the start. That's an epic move there into turn one. This is a replay of course, little tap.
Oh.
These boys definitely had a ding-dong battle before they got down to the end of the back straight where we saw the off.
Mm.
I bet you that one didn't get called in from your teammate.
No, I don't think it would have. That's all right. Mr. Kirby likes a little tap from behind every now and again.
And might jump on with Mr. McKnight, battling away with the youngster Harrison Dengate in front of him. So H would be fairly stressed at the moment. Be fanboying having Jamie racing around him.
Just a little bit.
So of course, big...
On that note, mate, I'm going to have to leave you for a while. I will be back on a bit later on.
No worries, mate.
I need to go put Contra in his spot.
Oh, thank you for jumping in and giving me a hand for the Enduro, mate. Much appreciated. Big shout out to Mark Duggan, of course, is usually in here and usually behaves himself a lot more than Gunter. And Mark should be back next week and to join me as well. So, anyway, thanks again, Dave.
No worries, guys. I'll see you a bit later on.
Cheers,
I'll
mate.
see you later, Mr. Vandry.
Bye, Gunter.
Love you too.
Oh, dear me. As we have 13 laps to go, we'll give you a rundown of state of play. James Scott is 10 seconds up the road from team boss Jordan Ross. Jordan Ross nicely settled in after the pit stop, came out on fresher tyres, has pulled 6 seconds out on Ben Morris. So Phase 4 Motorsport driver has Thomas Freeman tucked up behind him, but Freeman is due for one more stop. He's only had 2 stops for Freeman out of the 3 compulsory stops required. Kenny Ladder's having a blinder. He's up 13 spots, sitting in 5th. Great drive from Ken. And then Michael Whiting for Fishy Motorsports as his teammate Jamie Dyke tucked up behind him. And these two have had a great little battle as well. And then as we round out the top 10, 8th and 9th is Chris Smart and Damien Johnstone. They've been swapping positions quite regularly over the last few laps. It looks like there might have been a little bit of an off there as Warboys has just managed to get himself past Smart. So, of course, Warboy is one of the later stoppers, so he's going to have fresher tyres than the guys around him. And then after Smart, we've got Adam Briggs, who's worked his way back up into 11th. Paul Young here having an epic battle with Matt Stewart as he gets past him. So, definitely a fair bit happening on track. The main battle we've been watching, of course, was this Damien Johnstone Warboys group. So we've got 3 close together. Chris Smart latching onto the back of this pack. Very defensive from Johnstone Warboys. Pulls it up, allowing Smart to come in. Very loose from Johnstone there. Warboys looking up the inside here. Does Smart go with him? Johnston closes the door. Tucks up behind Warboys. There's a good exit down the back straightaway here. Warboys goes to the outside. Johnstone has a look on the inside. Is he going to go? Warboys going deep. Both of them go deep. Warboys off on the grass. It's allowed Smart to come through. And Johnstone peels off. Oh, we've just had an incident. We've just had a major incident between Chris Smart and his teammate Damien Johnstone. Warboys into one of the other cars, them two side by side there. So a few things going on there. I think Roy Clark a little bit involved in this as well. The lap traffic, but the unison drive there of the 2 SSR cars. Let's go back to live pictures. That sees Warboys move up into 8th. And he's now running solo. We've still got Ben Morris with Thomas Freeman tucked up behind him. And Roy Clark's on the radio there, so it'll be interesting to see what comes out of all of that with race control. And we might just take the opportunity to quickly throw up a short ad from our sponsors, Supercheap Auto.
There's no arguing that people love their cars.
We won't argue.
And people who love their cars love to tinker with them. Some people tinker big, some people tinker small, and that's where Supercheap Auto comes in. We've been helping people tinker for 50 years. For people like Bill, Lucy, Kevin, other Kevin.
Oi, get off my car!
Didn't catch this guy's name. Not Patrick. He doesn't shop with us. Whoever you are, whatever you drive, we'll help you make it super.
A big thank you, of course, to Supercheap Auto for all the support they provide the East Coast V8 series. As continue on here to James Scott, 10 or nearly 11 seconds out in front from Jordan Ross. Jordan Ross 9 seconds up the road from Ben Morris. Ben Morris in a tight little battle with Thomas Freeman, but Freeman's still due to have one more stop in the next 10 laps. And Kenny Ladder, a further 13 seconds back from Freeman. He's nicely circulating by himself. And he's 2.5 seconds up the road from Michael Whiting from Fishy Motorsports. And Jamie Dyke is up 10 spots in 7th. Warboys is up 18 spots in 8th. So he's had a bit of a bumpy ride to get himself through to where he is. But definitely been a good little battle tonight. Dengate starting to put a bit of pressure on Paul Young in front of him. So Dengate's worked his way back up into 12th. There's boys definitely battling away. Johnstone and Coleman are in the pits at the moment. And, of course, we had Paul Warwick that dropped out earlier in the race. Brady Baldwin's dropped out early. He parked it. And then Cameron G. Jones and Dylan Rudd have all parked up as well. So, of course, it's an epic battle, this track. Of course, a big shout out to everyone that's also watching out on Facebook as well. We've got a few people watching out there tonight. As we battle along for the Enduro here, 64 of 73, starting to come to the end. Paul Young doing well to hold off a fast charging Harrison Dengate. And we jump up with Michael Whiting. Jordan Ross has had an off track, but I don't think it's going to make much of a difference. So a few boys battling away. Michael Whiting trying to run down Kenny Ladder in front of him here. Let's close that gap down. Probably still enough laps here to probably have a crack at Ken. Of course, we have a look at Michael Whiting. Ladder stopped 3 laps earlier. And you can sort of see Freeman's only made the 2 stops, not 3 stops. Most of the guys pitted under that first safety car to get that first stop out of the way, which was a bit of a godsend for them. And then the rest of them sort of stopped on that second safety car, their second stop. And then we've seen some good long stretched out fuel strategies after that. Brenton Hobson, of course, blew his engine going into turn 1, which brought out that safety car. Still a couple of little battles about. These guys here, definitely not done and dusted. I'm surprised if Whiting can get himself into that 4th spot. But Kenny doing really well. He's up 13 spots to get himself where he is at the moment. Of course, the race has been going for an hour 40, so these boys definitely will be starting to feel a little bit fatigued. Been a fair while since the last safety car. As Michael Whiting gets the job done on ladder. Dyke's probably going to try and get here and have a look now. What happened to Dylan Rudd? Dylan got caught up in a pretty big incident around lap 27, I think. And I think decided to park it as Ladder has another look back at Rudd here. Sorry, at Whiting. Yeah, so he decided to park it up. So that's pretty much what happened there. And of course pointed out that Briggs is catching War Boys. Yeah, great little battle here as well. And of course, just check that pit strategy again. I think Briggs is on tyres that are 5 laps older. Interesting to see whether Blake's probably starting to suffer a bit from fatigue, I would say, considering he hasn't been well at the moment. Wasn't going to race tonight because of his illness. Definitely battling away. Not many laps left here. Just still waiting to see when Freeman's going to roll off. Coleman's back in the pits. And these boys are still battling away really well. Kenny Latta doing a great job to get back in front of Michael Whiting. And Thomas Freeman now really starting to put some moves on Ben Morris. Ben goes a little bit defensive, covers the inside line. These two boys have been pretty close together all night. So Freeman definitely working quite hard here. Needs to get tucked up behind coming out of turn 14. Try and capitalise. Want to wear tyre and grip becomes very difficult. As a look, side by side, Freeman's through, pulls it up, gets the job done. Let these boys battle away. Jump back on with the Whiting Ladder Dyke battle as Briggs has got his way past Warboys behind these guys. Now these three here absolutely having a ding-dong battle at the moment. Whiting has a look up the inside. Is he going to get it pulled up? Oh, he just gets it, hangs onto it. Ladder still holds the position. Yeah, I'm thinking the same thing too, Pete. I'm thinking that's the case. Going to be a unpleasant surprise with a podium. Unfortunately. Definitely some great driving here between these boys. Michael Whiting gets the better drive coming out this time. Jamie Dyke in the box seat watching all this unfolding in front of him. He thinks about it himself. Tucks back in behind. Whiting through this time. Can Ladder come back at him? It's been some great close driving by these guys. Nice and clean, nice and fair. So Dyke getting the run this time. And Dyke goes deep under brakes. Gets the job done. Oh, it's a tap. No, he spun him off. That is a tough one. We'll definitely be leaving that one up for race control to sort out. Just going to jump back on the Thomas Freeman here. Definitely interesting one for race control to sort out. Jamie Dyke on the radio there calling it in. And Steve Murray saying, yeah, it depends on what the penalty is for not pitting 3 compulsory stops. So you'd probably have to think it'd be 30 seconds plus. So that would definitely put him back probably about 9th, I would say. Probably a little bit further past that. Probably put him about 10th as Briggs gets past Dyke. Ben Morrissey having another look to come back at him. So there's only a couple of laps left. What do you do if you're Ben Morris? Do you tuck in behind here and play the safe game, or do you try and take him on?
Future reference, please call your number when my response before giving the phone call. Thank you. Turn one,
and there he goes. Freeman's in. That sorts that one out. He was aware of it. Back in this battle here, Jamie Dyke battling in the middle of Briggs and War Boys. So I did hear Briggs call something in a minute ago, but I'm just trying to work back through to find out what that was. Maybe something to do with this. No, that was our original incident. Adam Briggs passes Jamie Dyke. A bit of a tap there going down into turn 1. That's allowed War Boys to come in. This is all replay. War Boys to get through Briggs here, I think. Bit of a slight little tap. So yeah, we'll leave that one up the race control. We'll go back to live picks. So Briggs still tucked up behind. War Boys scooted through in front of these guys. Kenny Ladder sitting in 5th. A little bit further up. Michael Whiting's definitely got away from him. Ben Morris in 3rd. Great drive from Ben. And of course, James Scott, who has dominated this race, played with James Ross for the middle stint, sat behind him, fuel saved all his way around, and it's had a cracking performance. Absolutely showing some dominance in this season. This is James Scott. Of course, this is only round 7. He's sitting down on the leaderboard a bit because he's missed a couple of races. But pure class driver. And as we saw him competing amongst the best in the Logitech G Pro Series Enduros. And be good to see him in the series next season if he gets his way through the qualifiers. Absolutely sensational drive. And done really well here. Kept the car clean. And it just drove with dominance. So that's 300 Ks on the Indy Road circuit. And that brings up the checkered flag to James Scott. And then we have the Synergy Sim Racing 143, Jordan Ross. Another great result for Jordan. Jordan sitting high in the championship now, doing very well. And then in 3rd place, a great drive from the Phase 4 Motorsport driver. Awesome to see. Great result. Well done, Ben Morris. Michael Whiting will bring it home in 4th. Kenny Ladder will bring it home in 5th. War Boys is going to bring it home in 20th. Great drive for Blake. Adam Briggs in 7th. And we've just had another epic race in the East Coast Series. Great to see by the boys. And yeah, absolutely awesome. Awesome effort by all. And I think everyone should be pretty chuffed with the way they've driven that. It's been a lot of Thomas Freeman stopping his pass at the start line. Been a lot of battles there. Freeman getting himself home in 10th. Great result in itself after running so high up in the race for so long, having that late stop. He maximised the damage there and still managed to get himself a top 10. So he should be pretty chuffed with himself with that. But yeah, it's another 1-2 for SSR. And great to have a new team in Phase 4 up on the board as well. And that is the end of our Enduros. As next week we do Super Sprints again at Red Bull. So what we might do is we might just quickly go to an ad and then we'll be back shortly.
There's no arguing that people love their cars.
We won't argue.
And people who love their cars love to tinker with them. Some people tinker big, some people tinker small. And that's where Supercheap Auto comes in. We've been helping people tinker for 50 years. For people like Bill, Lucy, Kevin, other Kevin.
Oi, get off my car!
Didn't catch this guy's name. Not Patrick. He doesn't shop with us. Whoever you are, whatever you drive, we'll help you make it super.
And of course, a big thank you to Supercheap Auto. And I'm just going to bring in the man that has dominated this evening. A big congratulations to James Scott on P1. Well done, mate.
Thanks, mate.
It looked like you basically spent that middle portion of the race just playing with Jordan.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yep.
I knew I got, when the safety car was called, I got that extra lap, so I had sort of 3 litres or something extra, and then I just saved behind him that stint, and then I saw his tyres start to go off, so I got past and tried to pull a bit of a gap. I saw, I think it was Ben Morris pitted, and so I knew we had to like really pick the pace up to make sure that he didn't undercut us or anything like that. So yeah, I just tried to go as hard as I could once I got past.
Yep, it was a great drive. And of course, the man in P2 was Jordan Ross himself. How'd you find that, Jordan, having the likes of James?
Pretty worn out now, mate.
I did say that in the commentary that I think a few of you boys had struggled. We've done quite a few sprints this season, and sort of do a 300k race was going to be a bit of a test, I think, for a few. And it sort of started to show that sort of about the hour 20 mark.
Yeah, it was all right. Yeah, I knew James was way faster and all that stuff, so I just tried pitting a bit later, hoping that if we got a safety, like in that last stint, just trying to save my tyres a bit, so if we got a safety car, I could bang doors with him, but nothing. So all good.
That was good. I'm just going to bring in Ben. Ben, congratulations on P3, mate.
Thanks, mate. It was a hell of a lot of fun. Nice to be up the front.
Yeah, you had a great battle with Thomas there for a while. Were you starting to question whether he'd stopped or not, or you were aware he had another stop to go?
Yeah, no, we knew he had another stop, so I thought he's probably just sort of sitting there saving a bit of fuel. But we weren't pushing too hard. We're just trying to look after the tyres because we went a bit longer on that last one. So yeah, it was good. We Jordan and James at the front there. We thought definitely James got way too much. Thought we might have had a chance with Jordan, but he's just had a little bit too much for us. So we just sort of settled for third. It was great. Yeah, very, very pleased.
That was very, very entertaining drive with Thomas, to say the least.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
I'm probably not going to be popular with some of my followers on YouTube, but I'm going to announce who our driver of the day was, and the driver of the day was Kenneth Ladder. Well done, Ken.
Cheers, guys. It was very unexpected, to be honest.
Look, you're up 13 spots in 5th. Blake was up 20 spots in 6th, but Blake started rear grid and was driving under the weather a bit. But it was a tough call, and I've worn the team hat and said no to Blake, to say the least. But yeah, no, look, you've done really well, mate. Like, you've sort of didn't like Blake sort of caught up in a few incidences here and there, but you sort of drove a very clean race and were quite competitive with the guys you were battling with for most of the race, and then sort of just managed to hold a good gap there in the last stint.
Yeah, well, it was a really difficult race, but thank you very much for recognising the effort I put in tonight. It was really appreciated for sure.
That's good. And seems I've got 3 SSR guys here. I'll let Jordan toss a coin who's going to do the shout-outs.
Kenny, mate. Kenny can do it.
Drive with the deep end, mate.
Yeah. Thanks. All right. Well, I guess we'll thank the sponsors, of course, and Wave Runner Performance, Smith & Son Renovation, and Speedway Shop. And their primary sponsor is really Dirt Side, Smith & Sons, DR Epoxy, DGD Customs, Australian Limited Laminating Company, DM Tim Photography, JK Signs, West End Mazda, Too Easy Finance. There's too many of them, but yeah, you got the idea.
He does a way better job than James.
He does. He does. Even I can rattle off more than James. I think there was a there was a bets race I did the other week, and I rattled, and Pete didn't have his livery on, so I rattled them all off.
James just rolls in with his fur coat and scoops up the wins and gets out of here.
That's the go.
And of course, you too, Ben. Anyone you want to give a shout out to, mate?
Oh, mate, it's just a pretty small team effort, Phase 4 Motorsport. We've got Flash Graphics to do our paints. We're very appreciative of that. Track Racer for the sim rigs, and Australian Art for the race circuit stuff. So, yeah, good fun.
Awesome.
And congratulations to the SSR boys as well. It was awesome. Well done.
Yeah, well done, mate. Good to see you up here on the podium.
Yeah, thanks, mate.
Next week, boys, we're off to Red Bull, which will be a bit of fun for everybody.
I'll have a good race with James there. He's going to have to let me win one.
Well, as we saw from the Logitech G Pro Series, it's your track. You own it.
Yeah, he's gonna find the dirt if he tries to race with that.
And just before I wrap up my broadcast, next Tuesday night I am MIA on work commitments, unfortunately. So on Friday night next week, I'm going to do a driver's lounge, probably at about 7:30 for the East Coast guys. So make sure I don't know the results, but I'll know where all the juicy bits are in the replay file, and invite all the drivers to come and join me, come and sit in it, and we'll watch it all together and have a bit of a laugh. There's something a little bit different. It's a format I've used with the split 3 boys in vets, and I think it works quite well, and I think these guys would probably all have a fair bit to say.
Thanks, John. Good work. Good race, Ben, and I'm going to sleep.
No worries, guys. Thanks, and on that note, I'll wrap up the broadcast, and I'd say big thank you out to everybody who's been on YouTube and Facebook watching. Big thank you to the drivers. It's you guys that put the show on that makes it interesting and makes it enjoyable to watch and do what we do. Big thank you to Mark Duggan, who had a night off tonight, and big thank you to the boys in Race Control and to Ash and Josh, who organised the series, and of course to all of the series sponsors, Pool Guys, Barella Cabinets, West End Motor Group, DC Shades, and of course Supercheap Auto. So on that night, good night.
There's no arguing that people love their cars.
We weren't arguing.
They talk about their cars, sing about their cars. Some people even look like their car. Whether it's an old car, new old car, fast car, family car, electric car, race car, two-wheel car, no-wheel car, or a car you know's parked around here somewhere. People who love their cars love to tinker with them. Some people tinker big, some people tinker small, some people tinker some degree between those two variables.
Whose voice is that?
And that's where Supercheap Auto comes in. We've been helping people tinker for 50 years. For people like Bill, Lucy, Kevin, other Kevin.
Oi, get off my car!
Didn't catch this guy's name.
It's Kevin.
Not Patrick. He doesn't shop with us. Whoever you are, whatever you drive, we'll help you make it super. Because super is our middle name.
Shutters are a great option for a window treatment in that they're more practical than, for example, a roller blind in most cases, because it's not just open or closed. You do have the benefit of being able to close them for your privacy and also open them to allow light and air.
For a homeowner who's trying to get educated on what plantation shutters are right for them, the 4 things that I think are the most important are: 1, what material it's made out of; 2, the quality of whichever material you choose; 3, the paint finish; and then 4, the construction quality of the actual shutter itself.
High Profile is a solid timber product for a start. A lot of our competitors use a composite or what they call a laminated style or a laminated louver.
Timber is very inherent with distortion and bowing. So we engineer the product, we finger joint the product to get maximum yield from the material, plus also to reduce the distortion.
Probably one of the main differences with our product is it's actually a solid wood.
You can rely on the fact that what you're buying is not a veneer and it will not fall apart.
We then coat the material in a polyurethane top coat.
The benefit of the polyurethane is it's quite flexible and it looks great and it's very long lasting. So the product has the benefit of light control and privacy.
Whenever you're looking at your timber shutters, you want something that has been made from scratch and then finished as a whole unit. Will give you the best quality finish for the product as a whole.